Hi Drupal community and people outside of Drupal community. Today I'm going to start a whole new series of interviews titled Drupak's Drupal Geek of the Week. I am Azmat Shah and I own a Drupal based firm named Drupak in Pakistan. The whole motto and aim of this series is going to be introducing the great geeks of Drupal to the community and people outside of the community. They have been doing a lot of great things, and hopefully their interviews will be of great inspiration for any newcomers or any students who are willing to have their careers in Drupal or even experienced Drupalers. So every week I will be coming up with one of the stalwarts of the community, and hopefully you will be having a lot of insights into what they have been doing and how their Drupal careers are moving on. Today's guest, in fact the first ever guest in Drupal's Drupal Geek of the Week, is Enzo from Annexis, a Drupal based firm in Latin America. So without any further ado, over to you, Enzo.
Thank you, Azmat, for inviting me to be part of this kind of series for Drupal Pakistan. It's an honor for me. Well, I am here to try to share experiences with you.
Okay. So the best thing, rather than I introducing you, can you please introduce yourself to those who haven't ever seen you, and what things have you been doing?
Okay, so yes, I am known as Enzo in Drupal community, but my legal name is Eduardo Garcia, but nobody call me like that. I am Colombian, but I have been living in Costa Rica, Central America for 15 years. I am a Drupal developer guy for last 9 years. So, but I have been doing web development almost 16 years. So that's mean I am a little old. Well, in details, so I am co-founder of a Drupal workshop located in Costa Rica named Annexis. Recently, I am more involved in the last few years in a project called Drupal Console. I am co-maintainer of that project with Jesus Olivas, among 200 other developers around the world. Maybe recently, last year, I decided to do a tour to promote Drupal 8 and Drupal Console around the world. So maybe you hear some news about that. Basically, in short terms, I am a Drupal developer and a guy who loves traveling, promoting the Drupal community.
Okay, perfect. Just like many of us, your life also revolves around Drupal. This is something which prompted me to contact you for this screencast. Okay, one question which normally actors are asked: well, how did you get into acting? How did they sort of got into acting? So my question will be, being a Drupaler myself, how did you get into Drupal? Like, how was that word first ever when you heard it, and then once you got into it, how did you sort of manage to be in it for so long? So tell us about that thing, which was your first experience with Drupal.
Sure. Well, as any web developer, so we always need to try to be on the edge of the technology. We always have jobs or maybe some possible jobs where you are supposed to know everything, right? So for me, it was like almost 10 years ago. I have a job proposal for a company, and they required to do some Drupal stuff, and they asked me if I could do that. So I just say, well, I don't know Drupal, but I could learn. And it was funny because they say, okay, you need to be prepared for an interview in 4 days. And at that time, I say, well, I could read a book. And then a friend, Roberto Montero, is a Costa Rican guy who lives now in Mexico. He lent me a book, the Drupal Pro Development, and I read that book in 2 days, and I did the interview, and I got the job. So after getting the job, now at that time I have the problem like, okay, so now I need to learn and build a website in Drupal and train some people. So this is and this is maybe not a uncommon situation for us as developer. So we are always trying to learn the necessary stuff to try to maintain our curriculum. And so how I could maintain in this for almost 9 years, a little more than 9 years. Well, I like at the time the process when I get involved in Drupal was a little difficult, but I like the idea like I don't need to learn everything new again 6 months after changing the technology. So the idea is I could reuse the knowledge I invest in my previous project in the new one. That was something I really love it, because before that I always starting from scratch my new team in the different web development technologies. So when I get in Drupal, I say, okay, this is was tough, was difficult, but that's mean in my next project I could reuse at least 40% of the knowledge I invest to do this in this new project. So now my life is a little easier, but that's mean now my next project would be better than the last one, because I could reuse all this knowledge. And this is something I really love, and for all these 9 years never change. So every time, any new release, any new integration with a third-party system, that's mean the same. So you could reuse your knowledge, and now your next project usually takes less time, but you could provide more features to your client because now you could reuse your experience.
And let me add also, it is fun to do things in Drupal. Like, it has never been personally boring for me. And if you have spent 9 years with it, it has to be something which you have always enjoyed. And this is one of the places of Drupal, which I personally love too. My next question is, what roles have you had in your Drupal career over the years? And what have you enjoyed the most?
Um, it's two different, because two different situation. I have been involved in Drupal project as a developer mostly, but also as a community leader. So I think there are two different ways to see the project, um, two different kind of joys, because I really enjoy coding because this is affected by technology challenge. But being part of as a community and try to build a community in my region and in my country was really challenging for me, because that allow you to get integrated and in contact with people around the world, or in your region, and that will be shape a different kind of skills that usually as a technical persons we don't usually use, and I really love that.
Perfect. Okay. We always say Drupal is sort of very different, and those who are not into Drupal, developers who have been doing development in other platforms, uh, and they haven't looked into Drupal. Drupal is like a very alien sort of thing to them. So we always say within the community, Drupal is something very, very different, very, very strange, very, very sort of different than other platforms around. How is Drupal different, and is it the right term to use for Drupal being different from other platforms?
Uh, well, I don't like to say like a Drupal is a unique platform. So there are another project that good reasons to use. Uh, I always say like a Drupal is not always the best solution, but is a solution. So you can almost implement Drupal in anything. So maybe that will help you to resolve a problem, and maybe in the future you could combine with other projects. In technically speaking, I could see the main difference is the capacity of Drupal to be integrated with third-party solutions. This is the main, and the other hand is could be about the participation of the community.
Okay, let me add on to it as well. Say there is a huge project coming, and you have all the analysis of it, and then you start doing it, you will be just clicking mouse, creating content types, a lot of in entity references, and now the ECK and a lot of things will be going on. Your mom and your wife will be seeing the guys there on the laptop doing something strange, and in fact you will be laying a very very strong foundation to a very strong and huge website. This personally I love in Drupal, and hopefully everybody in the Drupal community. Uh, okay, my next question is what in Drupal ecosystem you like the most? What are the most striking features of Drupal which keep you abreast to Drupal? Like 9 years have gone by, you are still a Drupal developer. So what are those things
Uh,
which
okay,
keep you abreast to Drupal?
the first one could be scalability. So the idea, like you could write a or start a project for a intermediate size company, and maybe you could grow up um, bigger. The multilingual, this is a big feature for our community. The tier one security, because Drupal is one of the projects that have a strong security team. Another one could be well, the community is the best one, right? It's like a thousand of developers around the world and contributing modules is this is the best. The content edition experience. So that allow us to grow as a project. Um, Obviously, it's not perfect yet, but and never will be. But recently, last two years, we have been doing many changes to try to improve the content edition in Drupal.
Okay, great. Any cool memories of your Drupal career? Any great website you work on? Please share. Like there are some websites which one always thinks should go all the life with the developer. What are those things which you have done in Drupal and you're sort of very proud of?
Well, by contracting, I couldn't mention the sad names, but I could say the first one I built was a website for a car manufacturing company in USA. That will be I was really proud about that because it was built in Drupal 5. And recently, I create like a social network website for a agriculture African society group to try to help farming in Africa. I like how it was built and also the social impact that this project could have inside that community.
One of the things I personally love in Drupal is that even one of the hardest projects which you sort of come across, and then you start thinking, oh, I have Drupal up my sleeves, and I'll be able to do it. So, is this the same feeling you go through doing huge projects? By huge, I mean enterprise level applications. And how great is Drupal for enterprises and or enterprise level applications? And the new buzzword Drupal 8, which is again very very powerful indeed. So how is it for enterprises or enterprise level applications, and doing greater things as a developer or as a small team? If you have a small Drupal team, you can do a lot personally, which I think. So how is it with you? How will you rank a Drupal developer doing enterprise level applications?
So I don't understand the question. Sorry.
Well, my question is, how great is Drupal for enterprise level applications? Or if you say you have a very huge website to build and you are a Drupal developer, so is it true doing it in Drupal will be easier than other platforms?
Well, Drupal has for many years been that is oriented to enterprise application. This is in some level is true, uh, but I mean it's possible to create a small website with Drupal, but the problem is like a Drupal project involves many technologies that sometimes for a small project Maybe it could be a little expensive in terms of how many professionals you need to involve to create a project. But I think it's more related about the quality. So if you are thinking in a serious project and if you only expect to invest one person for 2 weeks, maybe this project is not real challenging. Uh, uh, Maybe this is the main difference about why people think about Drupal is only for enterprise. But I think it's a matter of quality. So what is the your audience and how far you want to get into the project?
Okay, perfect. You have been attending various Drupal events and you have spoken to. How is it to be part of Drupal camps and Drupal cons and other Drupal events and to be commingling with other community members? Personally, I think it gives a lot of taste into a Drupaler's career, and Drupal community is something we have always been proud of. So, any sound memories of your Drupal events, and let me sort of inform my viewers also that you have been on a world tour in 2016 and something about that too, if you can tell us.
Well, Drupal camps and Drupal cons are two different events. So Drupal cons are maybe too big, and that doesn't allow you to be in contact with people. Sometimes it's like you were in DrupalCon India and I were at the same times, but we weren't connected because there are too much people that it's really hard to try to get in contact. Uh, Drupal camps is something that is a place that maybe you could easily be in contact with more people because the size. So there are some camps that are really international. Like I could say, I recently participated in DrupalCon Iceland, the first DrupalCon, but 85% of people was abroad, and there are like a DrupalCon in San Francisco, New York City. Our my own DrupalCon in Costa Rica is really international. Uh, I think like in DrupalCon you could get more advanced in terms of technology. Like you could learn a lot of for speakers trying to show off what they did in big projects, and you could learn from that to try to implement in your local environment. But Drupal camps are more oriented to try to be close to the people and to try to explore their local necessities. Um, so for me, honestly, I prefer to attend 3 DrupalCons than 1 DrupalCon. And I validate that last year. So last year in my tour, I participated in 2 DrupalCons, one in India and Dublin. Dublin was special because I was doing a keynote, but in general speaking, I enjoy more being part of local Drupal meetups and Drupal camps because I feel more in contact with people and more especially with new people.
Okay, great. Um, so for my viewers, I will say Drupal is just not about building great websites. It's about revolving around the world as well, just like you have been going through. Okay. Uh, Many of our students are interested in learning Drupal or any sort of new technology.
Mhm.
And after completing graduations or getting out of universities, they then start thinking what can be their career points and what platform they can adopt. So, what suggestion will you give to new Drupalers or students who are sort of thinking to have a career in Drupal? Is it safe for them learning Drupal or any of the technologies Drupal is built off? So, how can Drupal be great for students or newbies for a
Yeah,
career?
sure. I totally Drupal is a career. Drupal is as any other big technology. So as starting a Drupal as a career, you need to invest time. It's impossible to say I am going to be a senior in any serious technology in 2 weeks. So if you want to create a career in Oracle or in Java, you need to spend months or years before to get to you say I am serious, right? There are other technologies that are more accessible, and as I said before, there are some technologies where you could use to create a short project, but maybe this project is ready to use, but it's really hard to scale in the future. So Drupal is different. So you need to invest more time to try to learn because you are creating a more robust and more extensible platform. So I think it's the same. So you want to create a career in Oracle, in Java, in .NET, in Drupal. Don't expect to be a senior person in 2 weeks. So you need to invest time creating your own profile and your experience because being a Drupal developer involves many things. It's not like if you already know PHP, immediately you are a Drupal developer by default. Actually, it's not like that. So create um, you need to create brick by brick your profile. So the good thing is you are learning a technology that will be provide job, I hope, for the next 10 or 15 years. Obviously, that's required for you is be in constant updating about learning, but you are learning and preparing yourself to build your own personal career for the future. So it's not like some technology that just came and then in 6 months is going to disappear. So you are preparing yourself to be part of something that was built, had been building for 16 years, and we are working to try to be more another 16 years. So is something that you could incorporate in your life for a long time.
Perfect. One thing I really liked in your answer is that patience aspect of it. Like you can't be a Drupal ninja overnight, so you'll have to go through a lot of hard work as well, and that commitment level has to be very high. Um, Thank you. Okay, one aspect which we didn't sort of touch, we have been talking about mostly from the developers aspect of using Drupal, but we have been seeing Drupal being used by very high profile organizations around the world, governments, universities, and so how can for to be a winner if there is a very huge website coming up for an organization, how can organizations get into Drupal, like how trustworthy can Drupal be for them?
Okay, I think in this point, the local community is the main important role. So if your organization is maybe in Pakistan and you are planning to use this technology, it's not like you need to take a decision. Oh, I am going to use this technology. But if there is nobody who could help you to provide help to this technology, this idea is nonsense, right? Because you don't have the people to try to say, hey, I am going to build this microsite. I know one guy and he built that, but eventually you like it and then you need more and more resources to do that. So you need to be prepared to build your environment because your local environment will allow to do this, to grow with the local community. Because in the other hand, if you don't do that, you need to be prepared to pay a lot of money because you need to hire people overseas, right? So I think as an organization, if you want to save some money, but mostly you want to support your local community, it's really important to try to create events or open the spaces to try to create a community that allow you to create an ecosystem that may later you could bring some people from that ecosystem to try to create your platform. Because if you pay a lot of money for a consulting company in Europe to create your website, it's fine, but then you don't have people to maintain that, and eventually the organization needs to have the decision. Okay, you know what? We need to change this to another platform because we don't have people able to support this platform. So we know more people that do this. I know maybe this platform is not as good as Drupal, or is more expensive, but at least I have more people to do this. And this is something I saw in many locations, that people switch just because you don't have the resources available to support the organization ideas of growing in this strategy, which is Drupal, if you choose that.
Okay, great. So the key to that answer you have just given is that you need to have resources to convince organizations to go for Drupal.
You need to
If you
create
don't have,
an ecosystem.
okay, my next and probably and hopefully because you have been with me for quite long now, my last question is Drupal, just like we mentioned, is a compound of different technologies, PHP, JavaScript, and recently there has been a talk of headless Drupal as well, and a lot of JavaScript uh, uh, frameworks are around like Angular and React, and I've seen you writing something about React as well recently. So, can you tell me what associative technologies are best learning for Drupal? Like they can be part of a Drupal team as well. So, any JavaScript frameworks or any thing like that.
I think if today, if you want to be part of Drupal, the best uh, technology you need to learn is Symfony. Symfony is the core of Drupal. Obviously, um, being a Symfony developer is not like a linear. You will be a Drupal developer that will be you facilitate your life in terms how to use Drupal. So learning Symfony is something good. And the good thing is like if you are not from Symfony, but if you are in Drupal, then when you are doing Drupal A, you are learning Symfony. So now you are prepared to be. You could say I am a Drupal A developer, and I am a Symfony developer. Not maybe not a Symfony developer as a expert level, but at least as an entry level. So that's mean there is you are opening your options also.
Okay, perfect. Enzo, just these 30, 40 minutes won't ever be enough for us to extract all of the things which are there in your mind regarding Drupal and Drupal community. So we
Yeah.
will never be, let this never be the last interview I have ever done with you. It was great meeting you and listening to whatever you have said. I'm really, really thankful to you for, and you have an honor too, in turn, to be the first person of Drupak's Drupal Geek of the Week. Perfect.
Now,
Thank you.
was an honor, and continue with these activities to try to contribute with the Drupal Pakistan community.
Okay, thank you. We have a Drupal camp coming, and hopefully you will be wishing for that too.
We will see.
Thank you so much, Enzo.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Perfect. Bye.